Hello, everybody, and welcome to the Easter bonus episode of the Bootcast podcast. I'm your host, Eugene Devereaux, and joining me in the hot seat today is the very apt and appropriate guest indeed, Mrs. Reina O'Mara of Comfort Eats. Comfort Eats is a new business offering you the very best of American snack foods delivered right to your door, and they're shipping globally. So I just received my own delivery of American snack foods recently. Really enjoying them. Loads of novel snack foods that I've never had before, never seen them before over in this neck of the woods. So make sure to check them out, comforteatsdelivery.com. In this episode, we learn about Reina's story of growing up in America, overcoming prejudices, going for her dream job in the movie business, and finally launching this new venture with Comfort Eats. So without further ado, folks, please welcome Reina O'Mara to the Bootcast. So hello, everybody, and welcome to another episode of the Bootcast with myself, Eugene Devereaux, and joining me in the hot seat today is Mrs. Reina O'Mara. Reina, thanks for coming on the show.
Nice to meet you.
Nice to meet you too. Reina, you have a bit of an American accent, but where are you from originally?
Originally from Chicago. My family is Puerto Rican.
Okay.
And I currently live in Miramar, New Zealand.
Wow, that's a good array of different places from all over the world.
Yeah. Lots of different cultures.
And what's your main kind of profession at the moment? How did we connect, I suppose?
My main profession right now is I'm co-founder and brand director at a company called Comfort Eats. They're a company that sells American snacks to expats or anyone that wants American snacks all around the world. We're doing pretty well. We've hit 30 countries. We just started shipping to South Africa last week. Very exciting.
Nice.
Yeah, so it's just kind of giving comfort and joy through American snacks. They're not good for you, but they're good for your soul.
Good. Is that your tagline?
No, unofficial tagline.
And how did that idea come about?
I moved to New Zealand. I lived in Chicago all my life. When I moved out here, I was just kind of lonely. It was hard to make friends, and I was kind of sick when I came out, so I couldn't really go out that much. And all the food was so foreign to me in New Zealand, I just wanted something I was familiar with. And I was missing family and friends, and so my best friend, she was like, you know what, I'm going to ship you a whole bunch of stuff. So she just sent me a whole bunch of Doritos and American cereals and all that stuff. And it was a real comfort to me, but it was so expensive and it was such a hassle.
So it was too expensive to send over comfort foods to you. So
yeah, and there was like a lot of customs fees and like all of this paperwork you had to fill out is like a nightmare. And my friend tried to send me like some, prepackaged things that she could get online, but like she knew my taste and she knew that I'd only like one out of the 10 things. So then that's when we decided to start a company together, me being a graphic designer, her being like an amazing business person. We started this company to help other expats like me all around the world to get that little taste of comfort and home, and maybe even like, local people, Kiwis or anyone around the world who wants to taste an American s'more or American cereal or whatever.
Cool. I must put in an order soon. What would be your favorite story to tell if you were to meet somebody for the first time and you wanted to?
Oh, yeah. Well, probably my favorite story to tell is so when as I mentioned before, I'm Puerto Rican, but I had an Irish best friend growing up. Her name was Liz. And starting from the age of 8, she introduced me to all sorts of Irish culture. And there was living on the south side of Chicago, there was a giant St. Patrick's Day parade every year. So we'd watch Boondock Saints and then we'd go walk over to the parade. And as a kid, I loved seeing like the giant Irish wolfhounds and like, seeing the acrobatics and all that stuff. It was so amazing. And everyone would open their houses and you could just go into anybody's house and they'd have like cabbage and beef and, snacks and stuff. And you could play cornhole and all that stuff in their yard. And you'd have like yeah, so anyway, it was a lot of fun. And as we got a little older, we started taking advantage of the other things the St. Patrick's Day parade would offer, like cute Irish boys. And so we found out that there was an Irish hurling team that would play on the South Side, and they'd come around the time of the parade. And so we'd go watch the games, and then after the games, we'd go like pick them when they were in season. And they just wanted to like see Chicago. They wanted to go to all the fancy restaurants and all that stuff.
Yeah.
And it was hard to find local boys who'd be willing to do all those touristy things. So we would just, pick some up and then go do all those fun things. And then after like 2 weeks, we'd go back to the games and like pick up a fresh batch. It was like so fun. And they taught us
God.
so much about like Irish culture and the way that they speak. And Irish people are so charming and so fun to hang out with. And like, for example, we went to McDonald's and they were so upset that there was no beer in the menu. Which of course we didn't even think was a thing. Um, yeah. So fast forward a couple years, I met my husband, who's an Irish American, and we started dating after a St. Patrick's Day party that he had. The details are a bit blurry, it being a St. Patrick's Day party, but yeah, we got together after we got married. We decided to go to Ireland, and we had just seen Cartoon Saloon's film, Book of the Kells. And Rick and I are both artists, and we just loved the artwork of the movie. And so we actually went and saw the Book of the Kells in real life.
Yeah.
And it was amazing. It was like life changing. It was just like the movie. It was just like you're just mesmerized at the beauty of this thing. And we came back from Ireland just completely enchanted, and we loved all the Blarney stories that people would tell us and stuff. And so we decided to write a children's book. And so we're still writing the children's book right now. And it's based on a little girl named Saoirse and her adventures in Ireland, like magical adventures. And yeah, so we're almost done with it now. And then we promised ourselves after we finished the book that we would go back to Ireland as a treat to ourselves.
Nice. Jeez, that's an amazing story from Chicago all the way to the Book of Kells. God.
Yeah. Yeah. One of my favorite interactions with one of the Irish guys that we picked up when I was in my 20s. His name was Desi, and I was like, Desi, like I see you smoking a lot, and they say every cigarette that you smoke takes 5 minutes off the end of my life, off the end of your life. And forgive my terrible accent, but he said, the way I figure it, the last 5 minutes of my life are gonna suck anyway.
Jeez. It wasn't a bad impression there.
Thanks. Good advice, I think.
What have you learned about yourself from all of that, say from those days in Chicago to marrying an Irish man, to going to Ireland and learning more about the culture and kind of falling in love with a part of Ireland?
Yeah, so I learned to follow my passions even if others didn't necessarily understand it. Being Hispanic, there were some people who used to tease me a lot for I had these lofty, giant goals, like, traveling all around the world and wanting to work as an artist in the movie industry. All those things. Like people used to tease me and call me "Oh Santiago" because I was trying to be Irish or whatever. And they would say things like, "Oh, you're just a poor kid from the south side of Chicago. You'll never travel the world. You'll never work in films. Like, you'll never work for like Weta or like Lucasfilms, which were like my dream jobs." But I think the things that like what helped me continue on was the fact that my family was so supportive of me. They didn't some of my grandparents and stuff, they didn't understand what it meant to be like an artist in the movie industry, but they're like, you can do it, you're going to be the best at it. And that really gave me the courage and support to like ignore those other people and just keep going. And then I worked hard. I got my college degree. I got a great paying job, and I married an Irish man. I traveled all around the world, and now my real last name is O'Mara. and I live in New Zealand, and I got to work for my dream job at Weta. So yeah,
Nice.
life is crazy.
Well done. You're living the dream. One of the themes of this podcast is overcoming challenges and dealing with mental health and struggle. Like, could you name a time where you really struggled mentally with something in your own life, and how did you overcome it then?
Yeah, so probably the a time that I struggled mentally was when I first became a manager of a team of
Mm,
designers. I had this really amazing, supportive boss, and he would help me, give me tips and how to be a better manager and everything. And then I got shifted to a new department and I got a new boss. And he wasn't very supportive and he was extremely misogynistic. He actually demoted me and he told me that it was because women couldn't handle the stress of being managing a team. And he said he was doing me a favor by, demoting me so that I didn't have to be stressed. And he just made my work life really difficult. And he purposely did that so that I would quit because
mm,
he knew, I'm Puerto Rican. I'm not just gonna sit by and just let you do that. Like you're gonna hear it from me,
yeah.
like. And he didn't like that pushback, and it was a real mental struggle for me. Sometimes I would like hyperventilate even before I would walk into the office because
Yeah.
I knew it was going to be a battle. I felt like I was going into war every
Mm,
day. It was so stressful. And eventually I was like, you know what? I'm not going to take this anymore. I refuse to accept this as an answer. He's not listening to me. So I'm just going to go straight to the CEO and see if he knows what's going on.
mm,
And so I went to the CEO and I explained to him what was happening. And I showed him the emails. I showed him all of the bullying like he was doing and everything. And the CEO was just appalled. He had no idea that this was going on. And so he asked me, he's like, "Well, what's the type of position that you think is ideal for you right now and how much would you want to get paid for that position?"
mm.
And so I told him and I walked out of that office with a promotion and a raise.
Nice.
Yeah.
Good.
And then later that day, my boss brought me into his office to sign the official paperwork. And he actually apologized for the way that he had treated me. And he said that he realized that I was a delicate flower and that I needed public um, admiration and um, uh, a financial compensation in order to feel validated. And so that was his way of still kind of digging,
Yeah.
even though he had to give me that promotion and raise. And he told me, he's like, now that you're promoted, I feel like, we can continue to be great friends. And I was like, no, 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 we're not friends. I'm paid to interact with you. That's it. And we're
Yeah.
going to do this and I'm going to be great at it. And so I just went and I led the team as best as I could. And I knew, like, in a way, it was helpful because I knew I could be, I just have to be better than this guy. And I know that he's a total douche. So if I'm better than him, I know that I'll be a good manager. And so it kind of gave me the courage to just try it, even though I was nervous about whether I was qualified for this new role. And I got to travel all over in my new role, which I love travel. And I got to see some amazing things. And it gave me more confidence in my skills. Well, fast forward, I moved to New Zealand and I was obsessed with Lord of the Rings. And my dream was to work for Weta, who worked on Lord of the Rings. And I saw that they had a job opening. Well, thanks to my previous position, I had the courage to just apply for that manager position and I got it. And it was just fulfilling this lifelong career goal for me. And working at Weta has been the most amazing creative experience of my life.
Cool. And and so would you be more managing people then, um, in your managerial role, or more kind of oversight of like projects as such? Would it be more kind of interactions with people and
Yeah, so it's a bit of both. So, they would give me a project and I'd have to see that through fruition, all the way from, gathering the print assets to designing them to
Mm.
going to the printer, making sure it looks right, and working with the marketing team to make sure people actually buy the things.
Yeah.
And also interacting with the designers so that they feel like they are moving up in their career, they feel fulfilled as
Mm.
artists, making sure everyone has to share the broccoli tasks that no one wants to do, that kind of thing.
And working in the movie business, it probably has its ups and downs, like any career. But I suppose in the past year, like with COVID and stuff being delayed coming into cinemas across the world, has that kind of impacted you in any way? Or
Yeah, it's very interesting actually. So we went into a really hard lockdown for I think it was like 4 or 6 weeks or something like that,
mm,
and the whole country just kind of came together and they they followed all the rules and they said we're gonna get through this. And 6 weeks later, the country opened back up,
mm,
and we're back to like normal life in New Zealand. And
yeah.
so a lot of the movie companies are actually coming out here to film and do their work, and hiring a lot of Weta people to work on
Ah,
their projects because we're the only country that's up and running.
yeah. Jeez, that's interesting.
Mhm. There's a bit of a delay on filming some things because,
Mm,
like, they can't film in America, but there's a lot of digital work that can be done,
yeah.
and there are some kind of actors and directors who are moving to New Zealand.
Wow, that's very interesting. And CGI is getting better, so maybe one day we won't have to
Yeah.
even move.
Yeah.
Yeah, I can't wait to go back to the cinema. The local cinemas here are closed now. It's the past,
Oh, are they?
3 or 4 months maybe. So it's you can't beat a cinema experience.
Yeah.
Like it's okay to see a movie on Netflix or Amazon, but you know, popcorn, big seat, big screen.
Yeah, that's what you need. New Zealand just started selling popcorn at their movie theaters.
Yeah,
I didn't know that
for the
was like,
for the first time.
yeah,
What?
they sell ice cream,
That's
but
mad.
they don't sell well, when I first got here, they didn't sell
Yeah, yeah.
popcorn. And
God,
yeah,
that's
now there are
strange.
enough American expats that they started selling popcorn.
Oh, that's mad. Biggest physical challenge to date, then?
Oh, okay. Biggest physical challenge, giving birth to my daughter in a foreign country.
Right.
That was, yeah, very challenging. I was high risk, so I had to be in the hospital for almost a month
Mm,
waiting for the baby to come. And it was very challenging mentally also because
mm.
I just couldn't get over the fact that everything was free.
Yeah,
In America, they would charge you for all the different things. Like they gave me a menu
yeah,
because
yeah,
I had gestational diabetes, and so they're like, "Here's your special menu." I'm like, "Okay, how much is it for this versus that?" They're like, "Stop asking how much things cost. It's all free."
yeah, yeah. God.
um, and, I would even have family who would call me and they were like, "This has to be so expensive. Let us send you money." And I was like, "No, you don't understand. It's free." They're like, "You don't have to try and cover or like,
Yeah.
we it's okay. Don't be proud." I'm like, "No, it's really free." So that was interesting. And then also just being, in that environment in a hospital,
Mm.
like without my family, that's not how I imagined my birth story to be.
Yeah, yeah.
And I kind of closed up because I was just like, this is so stressful and, no one really understands,
Mm.
and so many other things. I'm like, I just power through it. So I'm just going to get through it.
Yeah.
But then I was talking to my best friend, Brittany, on Skype, and she was like, just say the word and I'll be on the next flight. And so I was like, "You know what? Yeah, I need you here." And it was a 26-hour flight, but she hopped on and came and like just hung out at the hospital with me until the baby was born. And that's when we really dug into the whole comfort eats thing, because she brought me a giant suitcase full of American snacks, so that I didn't have to eat hospital food all the time. And
Nice.
then, like, having her there and having that support, it felt so wonderful. I just started opening up a little more and telling people here what I was going through. And I actually had, I go to a church, and the ladies heard about what I was going through. And so they would send ladies every day to send me meals so that I didn't have to eat,
Mm.
hospital food every day. And it was just wonderful, the support that I got. And um, yeah, I guess it just taught me that sometimes it's okay to ask for help.
Reina, what would be your top tip for somebody on the fence about trying something new, whether that's starting a business, going traveling, or
Mm.
wanting to make a movie or do something, pursue their dreams?
Yeah, I saw a quote once that said, "I no longer want to spend 10 hours a day on someone else's dreams." And that really stuck with me. Sometimes you have to just dive in, even though you think that you're not necessarily the most talented or the most qualified or the most prepared. You
Mm.
just have to do it. And there are a lot of caring people out there who are willing to help you on that journey. I know, me being a Latina and Brittany, my co founder, being Black, there are a lot of free entrepreneur programs out there where they will mentor a business owner of color, which
Mm.
is really great. We've received some grants and things
Yeah.
for supporting Black businesses or supporting Latina businesses. So even though we weren't like, we're like, okay, how are we going to fund this? We have this idea,
Yeah.
but how are we going to do this? It just kind of came and happened,
Yeah.
just because we just dove in.
Would you read many books?
Yeah, so before I had my daughter, I used to read a lot, and I love sci-fi and fantasy stuff. So I would just
Yeah.
read a whole bunch of fantasy books, like the Harry Potter series, the Aragon series. It's about dragons and things like that. And there's this really funny author, Christopher Moore, that he takes all of these like serious issues and writes like a satire version of it. So, like, for example, there's this one that's my favorite. It's called Lamb, and it's all about what if Jesus had a best friend who just kind of sucked at life? What would that look like? And it's hilarious, and it pokes fun a little bit at religion, but not in a sacrilegious way, in a really fun way. And I love those kind of stories and kind of make you rethink something you've seen like a million times. And also, wanted to mention my favorite book that I have right now is this book, um, oh, Middle Earth from Script to Screen.
Script to screen.
Yeah, and it's this book that just goes through, like, one of those behind the scenes, how
Mm.
did they make Lord of the Rings and
Cool.
all that stuff. And you'll see these tabs here.
Yeah, yeah.
So when I left Weta when I got pregnant with my daughter, and so I asked all my coworkers if they would sign this book for me.
Mm.
And so I don't know if you can see, but
Oh, yeah,
you
yeah.
see here,
Cool.
they signed it for me. And it's really amazing to me because, like, for example, that right there, that's hand drawn. He
Oh,
like
wow.
drew that in like 5 minutes.
Cool.
And it's all these people that were my that I used to watch on the behind the scenes DVDs growing up,
Yeah, yeah.
thinking like, "Oh, this artist is so amazing. If only I could like work with them and, like it would be so great." And, it this book just reminds me that anything is possible. And like here at the back of the book, I printed out, we took a crew photo
Cool.
at Weta, and that's all of the people that work there, and I'm right there in the front. And it's just a reminder for me that, coming from kid in south side of Chicago all the way to New Zealand, anything. I could do anything.
Anything is possible. Nice. Nice memento to have. Would you have a favorite quote?
Yes, it's an Irish quote. Um, It'll be all right in the end. If it's not all right, it's not the end.
It's a good one. Who would be two people that inspire you?
Yeah, so two people who inspire me, they're no longer with us anymore, but I think about them often. My abuelito, my dad's dad, um, he encouraged me to get education.
Mm,
And he told me one time, he's like, Reinita, go out there, get your college degree, get as educated as you can, because, life is crazy. People can take away your stuff, they can take away your money, they can even take away your freedom. But one thing no one can ever take away from you is your knowledge, your education. And that really stuck with me.
pretty good.
And I think the second person is Mama, which is my mom's mom. And she really taught me what true love and sacrifice look like. Her and my grandfather were together since they were 14, and they were very much in love all the way up to the end. They used to
Yeah.
like hold hands under the table when no one was watching, and things like that. And my grandma, the amount of sacrifice that she would give to others
Mm,
was so inspiring to me. And that's why now even with the business, we've donated boxes of comfort eats to essential workers or
yeah.
military abroad, just because we are like, we love what we do and we want to share joy. Yeah.
Nice. What would be your favorite country that you've traveled to?
Oh, that's a good question. My favorite country. Let's see. I would define that as the one I want to go back to the most. Ooh, okay, so it's tied between Ireland and Dominican Republic
Dominican Republic.
because, yeah, we got married in Dominican Republic,
Ah,
and so it has like that emotional aspect, and you just pay like the all-inclusive little thing,
mm,
and then you can eat and drink as much as you want,
yeah,
and all the food is like similar to the Puerto Rican food I ate growing up.
yeah,
And so, like, even though my grandparents aren't around anymore, I can still have that food.
yeah.
And so, yeah, and then of course Ireland, just because it's just, I feel like Ireland is just magic in every corner. Like when I remember one day I wasn't feeling that well, and my husband, he was like, you know what, we're staying at Ballyconnecken Castle. I'm just gonna go check out the little castle and I'll be right back. I'm like, okay. He's like, just take a nap. I'm like, okay. So I just took a little nap, even though I'm like, I don't want to miss a second of Ireland. But he went out there and he took the tour of this castle. And he said while he was looking at the ruins, this like majestic white steed came up and like just walked up to him, and he was just like petting it. And I love horses. And so he's like, oh, I can never tell Reina that I saw this like majestic steed in like the Irish ruins. Like,
Was that real?
yeah, yeah, it really happened.
Class. You mentioned you have another funny travel story with your best friend.
Oh, yeah. So Brittany and I, we've traveled around together before. And one of our dreams is to do a carb tour in Italy. We just want to go to Italy and just eat all the bread. But we went to Queenstown in New Zealand,
Yeah.
and we tried whitewater rafting for the first time. Neither of us are like, exceptionally like um, physical, type people, but we're like, whatever, we're gonna try this. This is gonna be awesome. And so we did it, and I actually broke two bones
No way.
on that trip. So I fell out of the raft, and
Shit.
I broke my finger.
Yeah.
And when I let go of the paddle, I broke the nose of the guy behind me.
Oh.
So I broke two bones, but only one was mine.
Was he still in the raft or in the water at this stage? He was
He
still
was in the raft. Yeah, and I fell out of the raft. Yeah. And his wife thought it was hilarious. He didn't think it was so funny. But I knew my finger was broken, but
Yeah.
I didn't want to stop the trip because I was just having so much fun. So I just
Yeah.
kind of wrapped it up.
Yeah.
Like you would if you get a American football injury.
Yeah.
Just
Yeah.
wrapped it up, and I just kept going for like 5 days till I got home.
Trooper. Just coming back to comfort eats. So we have a problem in Ireland now because of Brexit, because Britain has left the EU. Uh, any stuff that we buy from Britain online, which is lots of stuff, we're charged like a customs, and sometimes it's delayed by an extra 2 or 3 days, maybe. And it's just recently that's become a thing. So, like shipping, especially food, produce, and food goods, like what are the challenges with comfort eats in terms of, say, if somebody in Ireland puts in an order today, like what's the process, or like how do you deal with that?
Yeah, so we didn't want to make getting comfort in like the food that you enjoy. We didn't want to make it like a class thing where like only y- rich people could afford it. We wanted to make sure to make it most affordable as possible, which
Mm.
means that Comfort Eats absorbs the customs fees and the like half the shipping costs.
Yeah.
And so it can get quite pricey sometimes with in special cases like what Ireland is going through right now. We would pay the customs fees, or when we ship to Brazil, it's actually quite pricey over
Yeah.
there. And certain countries are very picky about certain foods,
Yeah. Yeah.
and we just kind of learn that as we go. Like, oh, okay, New Zealand doesn't like any honey products, so if we order something with honey, we'll let the customer know, hey, if you order something with honey, it'll get to you, but it'll be delayed a few days.
Yeah.
And so it's just keeping that open communication with the customer to let them know
Mm.
any potential pitfalls. Like for me, for example, in New Zealand, I love honey barbecue sauce, and they don't sell it out here.
Yeah.
And so I don't care if my package is delayed a few days. I just want that honey barbecue sauce.
Yeah.
So like I'll just order a bunch of it,
Yeah.
and then
Buy
if
in
it's
bulk.
delayed, whatever, like it, it won't expire for a year anyway.
God.
But yeah, but one of our main things is we guarantee the food won't be expired or near expiration date. We always make sure that it's the freshest possible.
Mm.
And so if there are any issues, we have like refunded it in the past where it's like, there was some freak accident and the box, the bag popped open or something like that. But we take a lot of care in our packaging, and we've learned a lot throughout the years or throughout the year of how to package for different countries and stuff.
Yeah. Very good. What's the deal with New Zealand and the honey products? Seems kind of random, is it?
Yeah. So honey, New Zealand has this really special honey, Manuka
Oh,
honey.
Manuka. Yeah, of course. Yeah. Yeah.
It's like $100
Yeah, it's
for
expensive.
a little thing of it.
Yeah.
And it's supposed to have all these amazing medicinal properties and things like that.
Mm.
And yeah, so they're just very protective of their honey here
Yeah. Oh,
because
yeah.
of that.
Makes
Mhm.
sense. Very good. And do you mind me asking, like, what size is Comfort Eats business now? Like, is it in the hundreds of thousands of dollars? Are you going to be a millionaire off it, or?
Yeah. So we're only like a little over a year in.
Yeah. Yeah.
So we haven't yet made like hit that 100,000 sale
Sales mark.
mark.
Yeah.
We're still working on that, but we have shipped to over 30 countries and every continent except Antarctica. So if anybody knows somebody in Antarctica, we'll send you a box for free. We just
Yeah.
want to be able to say we shipped to all continents. But yeah, the company is quite small actually. It's just Brittany, myself, and we hire people on and off to do kind of some of the specialty things that we can't do, like marketing or
Yeah.
SEO or things like that.
Cool.
So the team is in flux as we scale up and down. but we always try and prioritize the customer as much as possible, the customer experience, I should say.
Mm.
So even if we have to scale down for a few, a little bit to like improve the packaging,
Yeah.
that's what we'll do. Being a small business, you have to make those compromises.
Mm. And how many hours a day would it take to like run a business like this?
Oh my gosh. So, I don't know how certain entrepreneurs run a business all by themselves.
Mm.
Like Brittany and I divide up the tasks. Like she is a business genius, so she takes care of all the business things. I take care of all the design things.
Mm.
And then, as I mentioned, we have people that come on and off to help us with other aspects. And I mean, like I'm thinking about Comfort Eats 24 hours a day.
Yeah.
I work part-time because I have a daughter, but
Yeah.
I could easily just spend 20 hours a day working on it because there's always new things that you can improve on, new grants that you could try to apply for. There are like things like this, like amazing podcasts and, all these cool things where you can really connect with people, which
Yeah.
we just love connection.
Yeah.
And all the social media channels, like we just started on TikTok and we're like,
Yeah,
now
yeah.
we're going to have to learn to dance
Yeah.
and I'm going to have to part my part down the middle so that I appear young, like all that stuff.
Yeah.
It's a lot of work.
TikTok, yeah. It's the same with me. Like I do Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter, but I don't know, is it kind of a waste of time trying to do too many of them? Especially now, I think Instagram and TikTok are the places,
Yeah. That's where like I study UX, which is the psychology behind design, why people interact with certain brands and certain designs and things. And really it's just finding out who your market is. So like for example, if your market is like boomers, like over 50, then you want to focus on Facebook because they're always on Facebook.
Yeah.
If your market is like, 22-year-olds, you want to focus on TikTok because they're always on TikTok.
Attention span is 2 seconds.
Yeah.
Reina, it's been a pleasure having you on the Bootcast to share your story. Just before we wrap it up then, how can people reach out to you, get in touch, or maybe put in an order for some Comfort Eats?
Yeah. We just started selling Girl Scout cookies, which is, if it's a once a year thing and it doesn't last long. And that's like the thing Americans look forward to every year. And so we're like, those are flying off the shelves right now. And you can reach us on Instagram, TikTok, and Facebook. And it's at comforteatsdelivery.com.
At comforteatsdelivery.com.
Mm-hmm.
Brilliant. Well, Reina O'Mara, it's been a pleasure. Thanks again for coming on the show, and hopefully we'll meet someday. And I must try out some of the goodies. I'll place an order now tonight.
Sounds good. Yeah. Where do you live in Ireland?
Carlow, so it's in the southeast.
Oh, okay.
Yeah,
cool.
yeah.
All right.
Well, mind yourself and all the best.
Thanks. Cheers.
See you, Reina. Thanks. Bye. Bye. So I hope you enjoyed that one there, folks, with Reina O'Mara of Comfort Eats. Make sure to check them out here on Instagram and Facebook as well, and obviously their website. So that's Comfort Eats Delivery, and give them a follow here. Stick in your order. I'm nibbling away through my delivery. It came a couple of weeks back, so some really great American snack foods that I've never had before. Really good service and a novelty as well, especially over in this neck of the woods. As always, folks, I'd really appreciate any likes, comments, shares, or reviews and ratings that you can leave on the podcast wherever you listen, whether it's Spotify, Apple Podcast, YouTube, or any of the other main podcast providers. It means a lot to see any kind of engagement and to know that people are listening and watching and sharing the content as well. So hope to have Series 5 underway in about 2 months' time. So I'm in the very early stages of production for Series 5. I'll be looking for loads of more great guests from all over the world. You know the drill now with the themes that we touch on, whether it's mental health, travel and adventure, endurance and elite sports, and business and entrepreneurship as well. So it's all here on the Bootcast. Make sure to check out the back catalogue as well. We've over 40 episodes now over the 4 series, and some really great stories and insights and lessons from people all over the world. So thanks a million for following along up to now. Make sure to check out our website as well, irishbootstrapper.com, and the store will be going live with all of the clothing and accessories very, very, very soon. Just putting the final touches on it now. So excited to be launching that very, very soon. Thanks a million, and remember, become the journey.